Hello everyone, my name is Rudo Chifamba and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk all things projects. I'm super excited about today's video because I'm going to be talking about something that is very topical, a subject that is front and center at the moment, and that is the subject of artificial intelligence. And my discussion today centers around artificial intelligence in the project management space. Let's go back to November of 2022 when OpenAI released their ChatGPT AI. The response to that launch was pretty significant. You had camps that were curious, mildly curious, very curious. You had camps that were super excited. You had camps where there was a little bit of concern all the way to absolute consternation. Then as always, you always have that camp that is dismissive or indifferent, but on the whole, the reaction that met with was quite meaningful. And an example of a space where there was quite a bit of concern was in the education space. Teachers and professors were concerned about how this AI was going to affect students' ability to learn, to independently learn, to grow critical thinking abilities. They felt like the AI just short-circuited all of that and was doing all the work for the student. It went to the extent that some schools and universities banned ChatGPT. And I would even venture to say I can understand where that concern comes from, because I myself had my own, I would like to call it an experiment, but it's not an experiment. I just simply asked ChatGPT a question. I asked it to write a question, an essay on the subject of home. And guys, the output that it gave was so plausibly human, it was unbelievable. If I put that essay next to 10 other essays that had been written by high schoolers or college students or anybody, it would pass muster. It really seemed plausibly human. So I can understand where the education sector would feel like, no, this is just not going to be good for students. And when you look at the camps that where concern reigned, if I can put it that way, it wasn't just the education sector, it was also multiple professions, a cross-section of professions where people felt like maybe their careers were now threatened. Just something that's interesting would be, I ran a search on Google, just typing in, will ChatGPT replace? And then you know how the browser will auto-populate with the various options. And the list there was quite long. So I'll read to you what that list has. It has some professions. It has varied professions here. There's programmers, there's software engineers, there's writers, there's lawyers, copywriters, even doctors. And this is my absolute favorite, jobs, just simply jobs. Will ChatGPT replace jobs in general? And that, good people, brings us into the business of today. There's the million-dollar question, good people. Will AI replace us project managers? Will AI swoop in and replace us like for like and make human project managers redundant? Now, I don't want to draw our arrival at the answer to that question unnecessarily. So let's just cut to the answer. The answer is yes and no. But as with every short answer, there's always the long and nuanced answer. And that is what I would like to unpack with you today. The yes part and the no part. But before we get to unpacking that, I would just like us to take care of some housekeeping first, to clarify and explain some tech jargon, get that out of the way, and then we'll be on our way. So, artificial intelligence, what is that? And I went on the internet and looked for some definitions or explanations. I did not want to explain tech and tech sounding jargon with more tech and tech sounding jargon. So I looked for something that is really relatable, and I quite like this explanation. It says AI involves using computers to do things that traditionally required human intelligence. So ChatGPT writing an essay or a piece of code is exactly that. It is computers coming in and doing something that pre-AI or in the absence of AI would have been done using human intelligence. And AI itself is not new. AI has been with us and amongst us for a long time. In fact, you will be surprised or not surprised to know that each time you jump into your car and hit the navigation, whichever navigation tool you use to navigate you from point A to B, that is an AI engine in the background driving all of that. Your digital assistants that you use, Google Assistant, Siri, Alexa, those have AI engines behind them. When you are doing shopping, your online shopping, and you start getting recommendations pushed to you like, oh, you might also like this, or based on your previous purchases, you might also like this. All of that is AI learning what your preferences are and now starting to make suggestions about what else you could buy. The same goes for if you're using your favorite streaming service and you start getting suggestions about what else you might enjoy watching, that's AI. And then when you devolve it into the home, you look at your vacuum robots, the Roombas and all of their cousins, those are driven by AI. So AI is not new. It's just that the advent of ChatGPT or the launch of ChatGPT was really the trigger that brought the conversation mainstream about what AI means for our professions as human beings. All right, so now that we've got the housekeeping out of the way, we have clarified what artificial intelligence, AI, is. Let's go back to that question again. Will AI replace project managers? And remember, I said that the answer to that question is in two parts, yes and no. And let's unpack the yes part of that answer. And before we go in, I'd just like to emphasize that now, for the remainder of this video, I'm going to be talking about AI in general, AI as it pertains specifically to the field of project management and not ChatGPT. The ChatGPT conversation was important to set the context of how AI has become central to the discourse around artificial intelligence and professions. But going forward, we're now talking specifically AI for project management. All right. So the yes side of the answer is AI is going to take on or take away elements of project work that computers do much better than us humans can. And we're talking automation and predictive elements here. So in the automation space, you're looking at data collection, you're looking at reporting, especially reporting that is static and very repeatable, reporting that is structured. You're looking at things like your resource planning and resource projections. You're looking at the creation of project schedules and maintenance thereof. Those kinds of things are going to go to AI. Budgeting, project budgets, that is going to go to AI. And then on the predictive side, you're looking at things like calling out risks and issues, projecting the likelihood of risks and issues materializing, what the likely impact is going to be, pretty much a very reliable early warning system for your project. The predictive elements also that AI will take on is projecting what your project success rate is likely to be. Now, anyone who has been in the project space for any length of time, you'll know that our profession really struggles with low success rates. The number of projects that succeed at the end of the day is quite low, something in the region of 30 to 40%. And so if there is a predictive engine that can give a warning to say the success rate or the likelihood of success on your project is 20%, then organizations have got ample time to make some hard decisions. Either you're course correcting to improve that success rate, or you're killing the project if it cannot be redeemed. The same goes for return on investment. If there is a predictive engine that can tell you that your return on investment is X and X is undesirable, then you course correct or you kill the project. Or if X is a good number, then you persevere and push forward with that project. So those are the spaces that AI is going to be playing in. And I want to touch on the automation piece a little bit more. When we talk automation, we're not talking like for like, that you had humans doing this and now you have an automated project assistant and you're getting like for like output. We're talking a multiplier effect on here. Because computers are much more efficient and faster, we're going to be 10xing, maybe 50xing the output that we're getting versus that we'll be getting versus what we're getting now. So a good example would be, picture a 100-line or 200-line project schedule. Anyone who's ever sat through that, manually entering those things in, setting dependencies and durations and all of that, we all know that it's one, painful, two, it's prone to a number of errors, and then there's the maintenance of that project schedule on top of that, even more painful stuff. Now AI is going to come in, churn out a project schedule in a split second, be able to do the updates in much shorter periods of time than us human beings can, with a lot less error. So you're looking at these bots coming in and just bringing in a lot of efficiency and effectiveness. And whilst we are there, I would like to share with you an interesting statistic. According to Gartner, by 2030, 80% of project tasks are going to be run by AI. And that is project tasks, not projects, but still it's a very high number, 80%. So I'd really like us to slow down, pause, and really take that in. It is pretty significant. And this is projected to be happening less than 7 years from now. We are partway through 2023 already, so it's pretty imminent. So that is a lot of food for thought. Let's unpack the no side of the answer. Let's look at those areas of project management work that are going to be retained by the human project managers. And in this space, we're talking about those tasks where humans outclass computers. And this is in the area of communication in general. You're talking about stakeholder engagement and stakeholder management. We're talking about coaching and mentoring of the team. When it comes to building and growing high-performing project teams and project cultures, humans are much better placed at doing that than computers. You're also looking at critical thinking. And in this space, you can sort of look at it as a partnership between humans and AI. AI is going to be churning out this very rich data and information. Human project managers are going to take that and layer on their critical thinking capabilities, run that through the human decisioning process, and come up with much more optimal decisions than if it was just humans doing this on their own or AI doing it on its own. So this is the space that humans are going to be playing in. And when we unpacked the yes side of this answer, I shared a rather scary statistic, like 80% of project tasks are going to be taken over by AI. And you'd sit back and think, 20%, is that all humans are going to be left with? And the 20% doesn't sound like the heavy lifting here. It's like the softer skills. But I want to point you back to another, it's not really a statistic, but the Pareto principle, where 80% of the outcomes come from 20% of the causes or the inputs. And this is where you start seeing, when you look at the areas that humans are still going to be playing in, that's where most of the value sits, or that's at least where the bigger levers sit in terms of making things happen. So if the 80% number scared you a little bit, I'm hoping that this calms you down. Now our time is being redirected, where we're spending a lot of time doing admin tasks like building project schedules, building resource plans. We're now being freed up to do stuff that's more creative, that can bring a ton of value to our projects, which we wouldn't be able to do if AI was not coming in to do that heavy lifting. So that's where that two-part answer sits. Now, to sort of bring both sides of that answer together, and as a precursor to wrapping up, I just want to emphasize that this is an evolving space. AI has been with us and amongst us for a long while, but we're getting to a point where it has been a flywheel that has been turning quietly in the background, but now that flywheel is turning a lot faster and faster and faster. So we're going to see a lot more change in a shorter space of time than what we've been seeing in the past. And what is a definite fact is that the AI is getting smarter at a faster rate than us humans are getting faster. So if this question were to be posed to me several months down the line, a year down the line, 2 or 3 years down the line, would the answer that I'm giving be the same? I don't know. I really don't know. And if you press me, I'd probably say that it's probably not going to be the same answer. So what that takes us to is, so what do we do as project practitioners to remain relevant in this world of AI? What are the calls to action that we can hold ourselves accountable to? And I have a few tips here that I'd like to share with you all. And the first one is embrace AI. Adopt it, incorporate it into your projects. In fact, I would go even further to say seek it out and incorporate it into your projects, because it is the future. It is not going away. You ignore it at your own peril. And then the second tip I'd like to share is start to focus on that skill set that is going to be the enclave or the preserve of the human project manager. So the skills we talked about, like stakeholder engagement, stakeholder management, communication, mentoring and coaching, and building teams. If you do not have those skills, acquire them. If you have them, mature them and refine them, because that's the space where we are going to be playing at and need to be excelling in. And then the last tip sounds like a catch-all, and it's deliberately so. And it is just because this is an evolving space. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what the future is going to look like exactly. So adapt, adapt, adapt. As change is hitting the space, adapt so that your skill set remains relevant and you remain relevant as well as a professional. Okay, good people, let's wrap it up. What does the future look like then? At this stage, what research is showing and what actuality is showing is that it's not going to be an either or situation where it's just AI or it's just human project managers. It looks more like a partnership. It looks like human project managers and computers coming together to deliver great projects. And that's actually a very exciting space to be in. I've got more stats that I want to share with you to support that. According to the Harvard Business Review, 48 trillion is invested in projects every year. 48 trillion. That's an eye-watering amount of money. On the back of that, according to the Standish Group, which publishes the notorious Chaos Report, only 35% of projects are successful, just 35%. So if you look at that and you do the math, it will show you that of 48 trillion that is invested in projects every year, 31 trillion of that is either money that's lost outright or unrealized benefits to those projects. That's a big number. That's a large amount of money to be losing. Now, if we look at this AI and human partnership coming in to make the project space more successful, and we look at let's look at a modest increase where the success rate goes up from 35% to just 50%. We're now breaking even already. Of the 48 trillion, 24 million is actually coming back as a return on investment, or at least contributing towards a return on investment. We want it to be more than 24 million or 24 trillion, obviously. I'm getting mixed up with millions and trillions. I guess I'm not used to talking about trillions. And then if you take that success rate and amp it up a little bit from 50% to 60%, the scales actually start tipping in favor of like meaningful success. We're actually starting to reap more benefits from the investment of 48 trillion that we're making on projects at an annual basis. So what that says is that there is so much headroom for improvement within the project management space that the advent of AI can only be a good thing. It can only make us more successful as a profession. So it looks like there's plenty of room. The more, the merrier. There's room for all of us, both the computers, the robots, and the human beings. And I think that really sets us up for an exciting time ahead. We have plenty to look forward to. And that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as I enjoyed making it. And as usual, if you liked this video, please remember to subscribe and share. Until next video, take care. Bye bye.